So it goes oldest to newest. So that'd be cool. I'm gonna do it this way.
The first turnout crate is made out of rubber with a rubber bonnet for a helmet. It was used in the 30s and 40s. The next few coats are canvas coats from the 50s and 60s. And then after canvas was a no-mix coat. And then different blends of coats with different materials for fire retardancy and strength.
What's this alien looking coat?
Yeah, what's this one?
That's a proximity suit. A proximity suit is something you would see at airplane crashes or chemical spills. That suit actually allows you to walk through flames. It's the closest thing to fireproof that we have. Problem is, it's made out of asbestos, so it's no longer used. They don't make proximity suits like that anymore.
I can understand why. I like these helmets.
They're so old helmets.
The top two shelves are your older standard helmets, most of them made out of hard plastics or fiberglass material. The next row down are brand new helmets, today's style helmets, except for the metal one in the middle. And then the bottom two are damaged helmets that's been damaged from either heat or structural damage. And basically that just shows you how strong our equipment really is to withstand all that damage. That's another proximity suit made of asbestos. This dude's in the oldest suit, like the one on the end out there with the bonnet on it. That's a breathing out apparatus that basically he puts the mask on like that, grabs a section of hose, goes to wherever he's working, and his partner cranks that crank on top there and gives air to him. So as long as he's cranking, he's getting air in the mask.
And do these pictures mean anything, or are they just...
Yeah, they're just training pictures.
Oh, cool. This one looks a little familiar.
This is pretty much the way a firefighter would look today, dressed out. Of course, it's older gear, but he dressed out with breathing apparatus, a helmet, coat, gloves, boots, mask.
And those tanks are heavy, I can tell you.
Yeah, a pack like those weighed about 25 pounds.
God.
And then the suit itself weighs about 25 pounds. So in the early days, we were carrying somewhere around 40 to 50 pounds around.
So how did they make them lighter?
The only thing to do mostly to make them lighter is come up with a different kind of cylinder. These cylinders are composite cylinders. They're actually fiberglass wrapped with a thinner metal, thinner aluminum.
I'm not gonna put your face. Okay.
So that lightened the cylinder up considerably in its time.
Okay.
However, now we still use composite cylinders, but they've gained weight.
Okay.
Because they hold more air.
Okay, so more air means longer.
Most air tanks hold between 30 minutes and 45 minutes worth of air.
Well, I want to know that. I'm probably gonna be in a fire that long. And this is the standard stuff in
That was in medical tools from the day when we carried first aid kits only to protect ourselves. In today's fire service, we carried kits to help the public. So we back up EMS, but those were the ones that we basically just carried in the trucks.
For y'all or for
take care of each other.
Okay, well that's interesting.
With a few extra cases.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool.
That's evidence.
Ooh, evidence.
That's evidence that was collected from fires. That's a sample of what we do in the fire marshal's office when we collect evidence.
Illegal fireworks.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
And they're used for pulling ceilings and punching holes.
What's this red thing?
And that is a drop tank. When we get to a fire scene where we don't have hydrants, we fold that tank open. It makes a big swimming pool. We dump the water out of the truck in the pool, go back and get more water while the pumper's pumping the water out of the truck.
Interesting.
Wow.
That holds 2,500 gallons of water.
Wow.
I have learned a lot.
Yeah. Oh my.
Look
at that fire.
He's mad he has ants. And are these the same thing for punching out the windows over here?
Looks like it.
was in that container that would draw ants. Yes, these are pike poles.
Pipe poles. I thought so. I just want to make sure. And those are axes.
Axes,
Tri-tool.
pry bars, saws, cutting torches, rescue saws, gas detectors, heat detectors.
And do y'all use the gas detectors before entering the building, or?
Most of the time, if there's any question, if it's a fire, well, not so much. If it's a fire, we use them after the fire to make sure that we can safely be in there and breathe without breathing apparatus. But if it's like a CO leak or an unidentified gas smell or something, we don't go in without these,
Okay.
without using them.
Well, that's interesting.
Now, were these real fires or were these like training?
They were training fires
Training?
from 1976.
Wow.
Because I was in that one picture way down there, and I was on a different fire department, so I had to be in 76.
And what's these yellow tanks?
These are the big tanks that hold air that we fill the little tanks off of.
Okay, so that's.
Which
Do y'all keep?
now we don't use that system anymore. We've got a compressor system we use in most fire departments.
So these are not on the trucks anymore.
Well, there's a few trucks have that on them, but not much. Those really were never carried on the trucks. Those were back at the fire station.
Okay.
Now, there are a few trucks that have cylinders on them very similar to that now. Wooden ladders is what was on the trucks in the 60s and 70s, or 50s and 60s rather. In the 70s and 80s, they started converting over to aluminum ladders.
Why is that? I mean, I know they
wood is
burn.
hard. You see how flake this is? Wood is hard to take care of. It's not as strong as aluminum, and it's heavier.
Okay, so it had nothing to do with the.
Being wood. not
No.
really.
Okay.
Now, obviously, it would catch fire if it was exposed to a whole lot of flames, but flames hot enough to set that on fire isn't much different than hot enough to start melting aluminum, so that's not a whole lot of difference.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Interesting. I did not know that.
I have learned more probably in this interview than I have in my whole entire 22 years. And are these just different
Just old pictures.
old pictures?
That's all hickory stuff there.
Just exit that out.
Hose clamp.
No, I didn't. No, I mean, all that come from hickory fire department, those pictures do.
Hose clamps.
What's
What
a
are the
hose
hose
clamp
clamps
for?
for?
When you get a section of hose running from the truck and you have to shut it down for whatever reason to add more hose or something, instead of shutting the truck down with the whole line, you could clamp this around there and push it shut and clamp the hose shut and then make your adjustments. Something else that's not used a whole lot anymore.
And why is that?
Hose clamps are a little bit on the dangerous side. They'll flop back and hit you in the face if you're not paying attention.
Ew.
Trucks are built differently today, and you can shut valves off differently than these old trucks did.
So this is kind of just a valve shutter.
It's basically the truck design has eliminated the need to use these as much. They still carry hose clamps, but
Okay.
they're not used as much.
And now these are the ladders that you use now?
These are aluminum ladders. They're similar to what we carry on the trucks today.
These are tall.
These are the two on the ends are 35-foot ladders. One in the middle is 12 feet. This one on the floor is 40 feet.
Yeah, that. We're doing a little backtracking.
That one takes no less than 250 to carry it at least 4 to 7. Extremely.
So what are all these fancy suits for?
Just old uniforms.
Just old uniforms?
So are these uniforms like uniforms that are used today, or have they
That's probably from the 50s and 60s. That's probably from the 60s and 70s. That's probably the 70s and 80s, and that's 80s and 90s.
Wow.
But they're very similar. That's very similar to what they wear today. These two are heavy coats.
Okay.
Those are old.
Oh wow. Do
And
I-
what is this?
what's this?
That's a foam nozzle. When we have to make foam for chemical fires, years back they had special nozzles to generate this foam. Today's not so much because the foam eductors that makes the foam generates it. Now we have buckets of liquid. It's like shampoo that we stick something similar to this down inside of it. It mixes with the water and creates suds. And we use foam, of course, on chemical fires. This was an early model foam, and it's inside these buckets are actually pieces of, it looks like shaved soap. And you'd pour it in the top of this thing, and it would mix with the water and make foam.
Wow.
Interesting.
This is all not used anymore, not as you see it. There are different versions of that stuff now.
Okay. Then we got our Smokey.
Smokey the Bear.
That's cool though, the artifacts that y'all have gotten of that. Wow. Air, heat, fire. That's just,
We used to have a kit, 4-H, fire departments joined with 4-H and used to go to the schools and teach 4-H fire safety programs. And that was one of the original 4-H fire safety kits from the late 70s and early 80s.
wow. What's this
I
red
found
box?
those in storage.
What's
Fire hose?
fire hose? That's
Yeah,
what
this
you,
is, you still. This is what you would find in a factory or a business, and it would have hose, all that would be full of hose, it has tools, it has nozzles, it has axes, would be inside that cabinet.
okay. Wow.
And this time of the year, probably snakes. And spiders.
And Amber staying away. And these are just hoses.
There's just sections of hose. That was actually taken off of that hippie truck that left here, but,
And then those.
and these are all kinds of fire extinguishers, fire buckets, some of the older stuff we have. Buckets were used before there were fire departments and firefighters.
Wow.
The oldest chemical extinguishers are these. They're a liquid chemical inside these things called carbon tetrachloride. And basically you would just take this off the rack and throw it to fire and it would break open, the chemical would put out the fire.
Wasn't that in some movie? I could have.
Very easily could have been, but I don't know.
I remember seeing those in the movie because
That's all very obsolete. They haven't used this stuff since the early 60s because it's cancer causing agent, so of course they've done away with it.
And then sprinklers up there.
Sprinkler heads, water and foam fire extinguishers,
This is just so interesting.
powder fire extinguishers, carbon dioxide gas fire extinguishers, more buckets.
that's interesting.
And obviously, when someone comes through with something related to fire, I take anything. I mean, I don't need this many fire extinguishers, but I'm not gonna turn it down. I can weed through it. I do need to weed through the fire extinguishers.
But it does show the history of just
Back in
how.
the bucket days, they had buckets that sit at the corners of buildings and collected rainwater. That's where you dipped your buckets to pass the buckets and throw the water on the fires.
And
Now, are
what's
these hose connectors?
Those are the nozzles and the
Nozzles.
connectors, what they call adapters in the middle to make the hose fit together sometimes. Most of those are nozzles. And then the tools, hand tools, 4 hose lines on that shelf, and all this stuff is testing equipment to test nozzles and couplings and hoses. And these 2 red things are sirens that sit up on top of the building. That makes you noise when the fire alarm goes off. These are the oldest nozzles. It's called a straight bore nozzle. You put it on the end of a hose, and when they turn the water on, it'll back you up about 10 steps.
oh wow. Okay, we are done.